Today is Wednesday, the 29th of April, 2026. This is my digital journal. It's around 6:11, 6:15. I used to be an angry man, a violent, a man full of hatred towards life, towards the world, towards people, towards loved ones. And it is out of these vices that it ended up costing me valuable friendships, real relationships with people, and it broke a lot of bonds that I had for the longest. And I turned 29 last month, and it is not only out of turning 29 last month, but it has been a culmination of thought processes that made me do the shadow work, as most people will call it, or being in touch with my inner child and healing my inner child and getting to the root cause of all these vices that even being able to sit in silence, talking, conversing with God, that enabled me to be able to be more considerate, to be more kind, to be more humble, to practice humility. And I wouldn't say it's been an easy journey or it's been light work. It's been a lot of work. But one thing I've come to learn is that you get to a certain age, a certain period in life, that you just stop being a certain kind of a person, a certain kind of a human being. And in this journey that we call life, that's when we are able to sit down and understand that despite what happened in our past lives, despite where or how we were raised, where we grew up, the people we grew up with, is that all those things do not get to define where we are, who we become, where we go, who we are with, who we deal with, how we deal with things. And after doing all these things of healing my inner child, coming back to God, that is as well, I find it quite hard to believe and hard to understand how most people can be so evil, so unkind. I think people being unkind is something that we really need to look into, because it's not about past traumas that make us this way. I believe it's a personal preference for most people to be the way they are. They choose to not change, not become better versions of themselves. For them, it's not necessarily for their neighbor, their loved ones, their parents, their children. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to how it makes you feel as an individual. as a human being, as a man, as a woman. And something I've also realized is that the most evil people, the most unkind people, are also the most loneliest, the most coldest. But once you've done the work that's supposed to be done, you become more warm, more bubbly, more at peace with yourself. And you become in sync with who you truly are. And it is out of these things that you even discover, once you heal the inner child, some sicknesses even go away. You see, some evil people struggle with gut health. So I think it's more spiritual than most people think about it. Most people ignore these things, and that's how they always end up being bitter, sour, always angry at something. And at the end of the day, it costs them too much. So this evening, this is just a reminder that we can choose to be kind this day. We can choose to be at peace with ourselves. We can choose to work on our inner child, where we come from, where we were raised, how we were raised, shouldn't necessarily define who we become in the future. And maybe some of these unkind and evil people that exist in this world are put in our life so that we can show them that it's possible to be a good person. Like, we are in a position to heal and be better versions of ourselves, regardless of how old we are, regardless of how damaged we are. But at times, for those of us who are kind and considerate and humble and at peace with ourselves, we also need to understand that even though we are these things, we also need to be in a position to set boundaries. We can be kind, but with boundaries. We can be humble, we can be at peace, but set boundaries where we are able to regulate ourselves and regulate the people around us and let them understand, I may be a certain way, I may behave in a certain way, but it is to a certain extent. But once you cross that boundary, I'm afraid, and I'm truly sorry that this will be the end of the road for us, for our friendship or for whatever bond that we had going on. Good people also have limits. That's something that I've come to realize, is that being a good person, you can't always be giving out. You can't always be pouring into empty cups. We can't always be injecting or investing in people out of sheer goodwill and just because we see a certain potential in them that can be realized. If you're a good person, you need to set boundaries. Heal, protect your bubble, keep your circle small.